Hello and welcome to my channel, Talisman Tarot. In this reading I want to ask the cards what makes you attractive, and so I have 6 groups here for you. This will be group number 1, this will be group number 2, this will be group number 3, this will be group number 4, this will be group number 5, and this will be group number 6. And so I will ask you to use your intuition and choose the right group for you, the group that speaks to you the most, the group that draws you in, the group that catches your eye, and that group will be your group. And so you can pause the video if you need more time. If you don't need more time, we'll just proceed to the reading. And so, hello group number 1, you chose this Moki marble, and I'll start with a channeled message and then I will proceed to the cards. And I will first channel the physical attributes that people find attractive about you, and I see that, I think you are quite attractive. I think you have very beautiful hair. I think you have very long hair, long straight hair. Maybe your hair is a bit blackish or dark brown, but even if it's not dark, I think people are attracted to your hair in some way. But I also think people are attracted to your voice as well. I think you have maybe a bit of a sensual voice, like maybe a bit calm, a calm voice. I think people perceive you as very calm in general, very calm and collected, but maybe also a bit cold. And I think people like that though. But they like that you don't seem to get affected easily by the things going on around you. You remain calm even in a crisis, and so I think people like that. And I also think there's something about your eyes. You might have bedroom eyes, like eyes that are a bit closed or half closed, like Marilyn Monroe in a way. Like you might also have long eyelashes, and so I think people are very drawn to your eyes. And well, you might not have a very expressive face, but I think that's actually something people are very intrigued by, because I think you have like a really good poker face. Like people can't read you, they can't read your face, and so I think people see you as quite mysterious actually. And I also think you might be the silent type, or well, not necessarily, but I don't think you share much about yourself. You remain very mysterious and very secretive, and so you might seem a bit secretive to people. They can't really figure you out, and so that's one of the things that makes you attractive, the fact that you share so little of yourself, and so that makes people curious. They want to unwrap you, they want to solve the mystery in a way, like they want to peel off the layers and find the person within. Like I also think you intimidate people a bit, and I think it's because you seem a bit cold and a bit tough. Like you might be, well, some of you might be Russian or from a place where people are often perceived as quite tough. So Russia is the first thing that came to my mind, but there could be other countries like that too. Or like it could also be like somewhere in, like if you're from United States, there might be one state in the United States that are considered more tough than the others, and that could also be a thing. But I think people are attracted to your seriousness, like, and that might sound a bit strange, but like you seem a bit you seem strong. I think you seem very strong, um, and independent to people, but also a bit serious. Because and I think that's something people like, because it gives you a bit of like that boss bitch vibe. And I also think you dare to go your own way. You dare to do things that others wouldn't dare to do. I feel like you might have a bit of an alternative job or an alternative lifestyle, and you don't care what others think of you. You don't listen to other people's opinions, or you listen to them but you don't care about them, like, or you care about them but you don't let those opinions form your life. Like, you trust your own intuition, and I think you are very good at trusting your own intuition, actually. And so I think you might work with something that has to do with using your intuition. And so you might work with, well, maybe you are a tarot reader yourself, and or maybe you work with spirituality, some kind of divination, maybe witchcraft too, and maybe like some voodoo stuff, maybe, I don't know, but like, or you're maybe into the occult, some occultism or something like that, or maybe religion, different religions. I don't know. Maybe you actually study religious studies, or maybe you do spirituality or stuff like that as a hobby. And I think people are very attracted to that side of you also, because I don't think people expect that side. And I don't know why people wouldn't expect that. It might be because of, well, it could be because of the way you look. Maybe you are, maybe you don't look like the type who would be into spirituality, and I don't know what that means, but like maybe you don't fit into people's image of what they think spirituality is all about. But it could also be because of how serious you seem. I can't really describe it, but you seem to cut through the bullshit. Like when you talk to people, you always know if they are lying. But I also think people see you as like a realist, someone who doesn't believe in stuff unless it's proven, because you are so good at spotting the lies. And so I think people are surprised when they learn that you believe in spirituality or tarot or crystals or religion, and stuff like that, because they and that's actually, that says a lot about these people, because they then see that all of that as lies, and so that's why they don't really imagine you being into stuff like that, because you seem like a realist and they don't see it as realistic. So that's what confuses people, I think. And so, because they see all of this tarot and crystals and stuff like that as a scam, in a way, and so they don't understand that someone like you would be into that, and because people know they can't scam you, they can't scam you, and so they can't bullshit you, and so they don't understand that other people can, but if that makes sense, but it doesn't make sense at all, because like if you are into crystals, that actually helps you enhance your gift and make you even more aware of when people are telling the truth, and so, and when they are lying. So I think that might actually, well, I think people are quite intimidated by the fact that you can see through people, that you can see when people are lying, that you can read people very easily, but people seem to not be able to read you. And so, because you have that amazing poker face, so you are intimidating people, intimidating to people, or like, because you have the upper hand, because you know stuff about people and people don't know anything about you, and so the balance is a bit off, like the power balance, because knowledge is power, and when we know more about a person than the person knows about us, then we have the upper hand in that relationship. And if we know more about the person than the person themselves knows about themselves, then we have power over that person, in a way, or but like in theory it makes sense, but it really doesn't make that much sense in reality. But I think people are attracted to the fact that you are powerful, but they are also intimidated by this same fact. Like, it's what draws them in, but it's also what scares them away. And so you probably had some secret admirers in your life, maybe even stalkers. Like, people are like, it's like people are a bit in limbo with you. Like, they are drawn to you, but they are like, they are like in the middle, where they want to get close to you, but they can't, and they also want to get away, they want to get close, they want, like, if you get what I mean. But I also think people are attracted to that fact, and so I don't know. So and I think it's because you know people better than they know you, and so you are a bit of a stranger to people, but no one is actually a stranger to you, and so I don't know. I think you might also have a very good taste in music, and so I think you might also impress people with your taste in music. Like, you might have a really good playlist on Spotify, or you might wear like band t-shirts, like t-shirts with like your favorite band on them, or something like that. And I think many people see that you are into music, of course, and I think they see that as quite hot, because you have a good taste in music. If you had a bad taste, I don't think they would see that as very hot. But of course, music taste is kind of subjective and stuff like that. But let's draw some cards here, because I have to say I don't really know. But okay, so 9 of Cups, 7 of Pentacles, 3 of Pentacles, Page of Swords, and 4 of Cups reversed. Okay, so with the 9 of Cups, I think people are attracted to the fact that you follow your dreams. You are not afraid of doing what you know in your gut that you are supposed to do. You are not afraid of following your intuition, and I think people are attracted to that side of you. You might also be into some moon phases, because there's a moon here, and so that could be a thing too. And also astrology, maybe, because they're stars. But I think like people are just like, if you're into moon phases and astrology and stuff like that, I think people are quite curious about that. I don't think it's something that scares them away per se. I think like people don't believe in stuff like that, like the people you've had crushes on in the past and stuff like that, they might not have shared your interest in astrology, but they I think they were intrigued by it, and I think people who has a crush on you now also are intrigued by it. But I also think with this M here, maybe your name starts with an M, but or the person who might have a crush on you has a name that starts with an M, but I've also interpreted this M here in a different reading as the widow's peak. I think that's what it is called. Like when like in your forehead, like so that your forehead, like it might have a bit of a like your forehead might be a bit shaped like an M, if that makes sense. Like there's a V form in the middle. So you might also put your hair up sometimes, not necessarily in a ponytail like the picture here, but it could be in like that you put your hair up in a ponytail. But I think it's more like I don't know what that hairstyle is called, but like when you take like some of the hair from the front and tie it up in the back, and let the rest of the hair like be loose while some of it is tied up. That might be something you do, and I don't know, but I also think you might wear some shirts with puffy arms. But well, enough about that card. Like let's go on to 7 of Pentacles here. I think that's kind of interesting. It's an interesting card because, well, the person here is crying, and so I think you might have had like a tough life, but I think you are still standing tall. Like this is a tree here, and so it's standing tall. But but I think people really admire that about you, that you stand tall, like even in a crisis, that you are still standing. You don't let things bother you that much, or it bothers you, but it doesn't make you less functional, if that makes sense. And so I also just think people see you as someone with a lot of layers, that you are very deep, and think it's because you are so mysterious, like they feel like there's a lot of layers underneath that hard shell you have. And I think you are deep. I think you are very smart too, and I think people have been quite intrigued with some things that you said to them. You might say something sometimes that really makes people think. Also, with the Page of Swords here, I think people see you as very intelligent, but also someone with intelligent ideas, like new ideas. You think outside the box, and you dare to think differently and voice different opinions. You are an independent thinker, and I think people are fascinated by your ideas and your thoughts. But I also think there's something here with the Seven of Pentacles. I always think of a family tree when I see this card, and like all these pentacles with birds on them. I see them as family members, and then there's this head on the top that's crying, and I think that's you. And so I think you might have some sorrow when it comes to your family. There might have happened a lot of things in your family that has been very hard on you, and I think you've had to be strong for your family members, and I think people want to know more about your story, and I think people are attracted to you because of your story as well. And I also think there might be some loss in your family, like you might have lost a family member, and maybe you are a foreigner, and maybe your parents moved to a different country when you were a child, and so maybe you've lived your whole life in a country, in the country you live in now, but you might long for the country that you came from, that your ancestors came from. You might feel like you are missing a piece of yourself because you don't live in the same place where your ancestors lived. And so, well, I don't know what that exactly has to do with attractiveness, but maybe people are attracted to the fact that you have a different story and that you come from a different country, and also that you have this baggage, that you have some sorrow in your baggage that makes you layered, that makes you deep, like there's a lot of things that you can like unravel. And so with the Three of Pentacles here, I think people are attracted to the fact that maybe you are an artist, maybe you are a creator of some kind. You might create something and get money from creating something, like you might have your own business or your own project. Maybe you write books, or maybe you do like videos here on YouTube, and I think people are very attracted to that. And so with the Page of Swords, okay, so first, the boobs here are faces, and so that makes me think of like someone talking, like two people talking to each other, and the male can't look at the face, but because they are preoccupied with the breast, like so I think you have very nice breasts too, and so that's nice, I guess. So I think you have a great body in general, but I think people are mostly attracted to your boobs, but I don't know. But with the Four of Cups here reversed, when it's upright, this card is about saying no to offers and opportunities because you are satisfied with what you have at the moment. And well, when it's reversed, I think it's the opposite. I think you are the type who says yes to offers and opportunities because you are not satisfied with your situation. I don't think you'll ever be truly satisfied. I think you are the type who will always want to do more, want to get more work done. So you might be a bit of a workaholic. Actually, I think you push yourself. You are not the type who gives up. You always push yourself because you know you're going places. You know you have a bright future ahead of you, and so you don't want to settle. You want to keep moving forward. You want to reach your goals, and as soon as you reach your goals, you want to make a new goal and reach that new goal, like and then reach another goal, and until like you've conquered the world in a way. Like you want to keep going into until there's nothing more left to do, and there's always something left to do. And so I think that's a very cool energy, really, especially because I see that you are very calm too. Like you're in a rush to move forward, but you still seem so calm. You know, like you know how some people sometimes says that they are too busy to talk. These people are never really too busy to talk, and they just say that to get away. But like you are the opposite. Like you actually are too busy to talk to people, but you keep talking to people even if you're too busy to talk to them, because you like give people your time. You don't stop people in the middle of a conversation because you have work to do. You are generous with your time, especially towards the people that are close to you. And I think that is what makes you attractive. And so that's what I have for you, group number 1. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you in my next reading. Bye! Hello, group number 2. You chose this pyrite, and so it's a pyrite in fluorite. It's a combination stone, but that's not important. I will start with a channeled message, and then I will proceed to the cards, and I'll start with some physical attributes, and then I will get to the deeper stuff. And so I think some of you might be redheads, you might have red hair, or you might have strawberry blonde hair. Some of you might have henna, like colored your hair with henna, and you might have like a bit shorter hair, and maybe a bit wavy hair. And I think people really like your hair. Like, I think your hair looks very healthy and pretty, really. And I think people also look at it as cute. You might have like what's it called? The bob cut. I don't think it's called that, but it's like something close to that. I'm not sure, but I also see that you smile a lot, and you seem to have a very bubbly personality, very light and joyful, and I think you spread joy everywhere you go, really, because you have a very infectious smile and also a very infectious laugh. I think people are just really attracted to how cheerful you are, but you also have something very homey and familiar about you. You might be a Cancer. You have that girl next door vibe. You have a very welcoming vibe, and I think people are attracted to how warm you are. You seem to genuinely care about people. You seem genuinely happy to see people. Like, when you greet people, you greet them with a hug. Like, or, well, we can't do that now, but you used to hug people before Corona and stuff like that. But I think you also have a tendency to blush. Your cheeks might get red very easily, like when you are embarrassed by, but also when you are out in the cold and stuff. And I think people are attracted to that. You might also have freckles. I just think there's something very natural about you. You don't have to use a lot of time to make your hair look pretty, because it just looks pretty naturally. You don't have to use makeup to look pretty, because you just already look very pretty. And also, I think you are short too. I think I said that before. I think the height thing is coming in strong. So I think people, like especially men, if you are a woman, I think men really like that they feel tall around you, and like there's something about you that makes people want to pick you up. I don't know what it is. I also think people really like how colorful you are. Like, you might dress kind of colorful, but you could also just have a very colorful personality. But I think you also dress colorful, like you dress in colors. I think there's some pastel colors, like some mint green colors, like, and light pink and stuff like that. But it might just be one particular jacket I'm picking up on. One of you have like a down jacket, in some pastel colors. But mostly I think you wear all colors, also brighter colors. And well, it's actually a bit interesting because this deck you've chosen is black and white, and so I don't know why you were drawn to that one. And so maybe you used to be it could be like some subconscious thing. So maybe you used to be like goth when you were a teenager, or emo, or alternative in some way. Like you might have dressed, but I think it's more like goth or emo that you dressed when you were a teenager. But I also think like it could be something about your personality as well, that you might be, well, not that you are black and white in your way of looking at the world and stuff like that. I don't think it's that, but I think you might have a dark side and a light side. Like you might smile, but it could also be like that you smile and look happy on the outside, and that you are not feeling that way on the inside. But I don't know. I think it's more like just that you have a dark side and a light side. But I don't think the dark side comes out a lot, because I think you are very cute and sweet and nice to people. Like the black and white also makes me think of yin and yang, about duality, about harmony between the dark side and the light side, and the masculine and the feminine. And I think they are in balance. So, but let's draw some cards here. So, Queen of Pentacles reversed, Seven of Cups reversed, Temperance upright, Eight of Cups upright, the Devil reversed. Okay, so with the Queen of Pentacles reversed, it makes sense with the Devil also reversed. I think it's about you not being materialistic, not focusing too much on money. And I think people really like that, that you are focused on other values than the materialistic values, and money and career and finances and stuff like that. And you are more about emotions and caring about people, and so I don't think you care that much about the brands of your clothes. Like you probably buy some of your clothes in thrift shops and vintage shops, because you don't care that much about, not that anyone would not care, just like I buy most of my clothes in thrift shops too. Like I know that it's not just about not caring about clothes, it's more about not wanting to buy clothes that's expensive when you can buy it cheap. But it's also about, well, why mass produce clothes when, like, why buy new clothes when you can buy clothes that is used? Like, if that makes sense. Like, but so you could also have like this side of you that's very much that thinks about the planet and zero waste and not the major corporations, not that you might be the type who wants to like support the local businesses, and you might also be the type who just wants to save the planet, like with zero waste and like by buying things used and stuff like that. So I think people find that attractive, that you think about the planet and you think about the well-being of like all of the planet. Like you might also sew your own clothes, or you might have like clothes that you use for years and years, and then you like, if you can't and then you fix them, like if there's a hole in some of your clothes, you sew that hole closed, like you repair your clothes if they don't if they get a tear or something like that. Like I don't know, but so with the Seven of Cups reversed, I think people see you as also very grounded. You might have your feet steady on the ground. You're not up in the clouds. I also think you are the type who doesn't need to escape reality. You very much like reality, really. You are very present in the moment. You don't need to escape from the moment because you like the moment. And so because you are very grounded, I think you are grounded. I think you might be an earth sign. I also think you are the type who's not very likely to get addicted to drugs or alcohol or anything, really, because you don't need to escape reality. And so I think you are like the type who, if you get bored, you try to make yourself not bored anymore. Like, not that that's why people drink or take drugs or something like that, but like, I think you just have like a magical way of just being in the present moment and not wanting to make the present moment go away. You would much rather make the present moment more enjoyable by, like, if you're at a party and the party is dying, if there's like awkward silence, you find a way to make it fun. You go searching for some board games, or you ask someone if they have some playing games or playing cards, or something like that. I think you are the type who never gets bored, and you were probably taught as a child that like only boring people were bored, and I think you've taken that to heart. Like, you know that if you are bored, then it's your fault, because then you are not doing enough to entertain yourself and others. And I actually feel like you are a born entertainer in a way. Like, you can lighten up a room with your presence. You are so good at changing the vibration and the energy in the room. And well, you're not, like, you're also just very charming and cute. Like, there's literally nothing about you that's not likable, that's not lovable. Like, I feel like people are just attracted to you in general. You are good at attracting people to you. All the people you meet, really, like people are drawn to you. People want to be friends with you because you are very approachable and friendly. Like you make people feel comfortable around you, and with the 8 of Cups, um, I think what the card means in this context is that people find it attractive that you also know when to walk away. You know when to withdraw from people. And so maybe you are like the extrovert introvert combo, where you have periods where you are extroverted and then you have periods where you are introverted. And I think people are attracted to the fact that you know when to withdraw. And I also think people are attracted to the fact that you know your worth. Like, I think you are a very friendly and tolerant person, but if someone doesn't treat you right, you leave. You don't allow people to treat you like shit. And maybe you're not always maybe you've not always been that way, like in the past. Like maybe you did allow people to treat you a bit like maybe you were a bit of a pushover in the past, but I think you have learned to set boundaries, and I think people really find that attractive. And I think like people have really gotten a lot of respect to you. Like they have respect for you now. They had respect for you before too, but like I think some people are starting to see you in a different light now, because you are starting to set boundaries for yourself. And I think they are attracted to that new version of yourself where you know your own worth, where you know when to say stop and when to say no to people, when to when to say no to people. And I think that's attractive. Like people are attracted to that. Because it has given you a bit of an edge, I think. Like before they saw you as a bit like sugary sweet, and I think now you have a bit of like some salt in there too. Like, but like with the devil here reversed, like, well, that's also what I see with the 8 of Cups. Like, I think because, well, when the devil is upright, it's also about codependence. And I think you have maybe been a bit codependent in the past, but now you are more independent. You know, you don't allow people to walk all over you. You don't get too attached to people. And I think that's a very good color on you. And I also think that, like, because this card here also says Lord of Abandoned Success, and like the devil is about materialistic stuff and it's reversed, and Queen of Pentacles is also like the queen of material in a way, and she's also reversed. And so the abandoned success, like maybe some people see you as like someone who's abandoned some success. Like maybe you were on a career path and you've chosen to stop that career path and choose a completely different career path. And maybe you've chosen a career path that doesn't give you as much money. And I think, but you've chosen to do this because it makes more sense to you. It's like maybe you were like studying to become a businesswoman or something like that, and then you chose to stop that career or businessman, I don't know what gender, but and then you've chosen a different path, and maybe that's something like nursing or caretaking or healing or like something a bit different, like where you feel like you help people. And so maybe you've chosen to not go the business way and chosen some more human, a more something that's more human, something that has to do with like helping people. And I think people are very attracted to that choice you've made because they think it's the right choice. It shows that you have character, it shows that you care about people, it shows that you are a compassionate person. And I think people really like that. And so, like, I think I also think there's something about partying too. I think people really like, because of the temperance. Maybe it's because of like because the temperance is a bit like she's blending some drinks here, and maybe you're good at mixing drinks. So maybe that's one thing. Like you might be good at mixing drinks. You might also be the type who mixes drinks half and half just to like make your friends really wasted, and then you can have a laugh at that. You might be that type of person, like the happy-go-lucky. Now we're gonna have fun. I don't want to think about the consequences type of person. Like, and I think you are like that when you go out partying. Like you don't think of like the consequences. Like not that there are any, but like you're not a party pooper. You like I think you're good at having a fun time. And like I also think like with this card here, it goes a bit like it she mixes like it's a bit like from one extreme to the other, if that makes sense. And I think that's also something you have, that you might be like, I don't think you're bipolar, but I sometimes interpret this card as bipolar. I also sometimes interpret it as a thyroid problem, but I don't think it's that in this particular context. But you might have to, like, you might want to get that checked if you want to. But like, there could be a thyroid problem. But I mostly think it's about like you being like, maybe you have these like periods where you get into party mode, where you want to party a lot. Then you have some periods where you want to watch Netflix Friday night. And I think the fact that you can do both attracts people. But I also think people are attracted to that darker side of you. It doesn't come out very much, as I said before. Like, but I think people people get a bit of a glimpse of that dark side sometimes. Like maybe you make very dark jokes sometimes, like dead baby jokes and stuff like that. I don't know if people make those jokes anymore, but like it's a long time since but like what I was about to say, I think people are intrigued by the fact that you have both sides, that you have a dark side and a light side. And I also think people see you as someone who is very cute, but I think people wonder if you have like a freaky side, especially sexually. Like if you may, like people think you might have some dark fetishes. Like I think people imagine that you might have that, like that you might have a dominatrix side or something like that. I don't know, but I think people just can't believe that you are like this cute all the time, and I think that's true too, and because I see that like you have some, like you have a bit of a dark side sometimes, and I think that's what comes out sometimes, and I think people want to see more of that. And I also think like people see you as the girl next door. You have like that familiarity about you, and it's also a bit like you give people nostalgia. I think, like I think people when they see you, they get nostalgic. Like they might even get nostalgic of their childhood for some weird reason. I don't know if it's because you are a bit childlike, and not in a bad way. Like I think it's more your joy. Like you have a childlike joy. You get excited over the smallest things in life. You get excited when two candy bars drop in the vending machine. You get excited over this, like there's what are they called, like the massage things that you can like use, that you use for massaging the scalp. I, I'm not good at describing this. You know, those like metal things with those like thin metal arms, like where like you put it on your head and like you massage it like down your scalp, and then you get like chills down your spine. Like you might get excited over things like that. Like you need to try it if you find it. Like you need to buy it if you find it. Like if you find it in a dollar store, you need it. Like and I think you get excited over like small things. Like also I think maybe your clothing style also makes people nostalgic. Maybe it's because you wear like retro clothes. Maybe you have like t-shirts of like cartoons from the 80s or something like that, and or the 90s or whatever. Like you might have shirts with something that gives people nostalgia. I also think there's something about you that I think you are quite generous. too. And I think people are very attracted to that as well. I think you are the type who cares about people. You borrow people's stuff. Like if people have if people have problems with their printer, you offer to borrow them your printer or print things for them, or like you are very generous with your time when it comes to people. But I also think you are generous with money. Like you don't care so much about money, so it doesn't really bother you if you pay for drinks for a friend, or pay for food if your friend is short on money. Like you're not cheap at all. And I think people really like that. You might also be the type who loves to have people for dinner, and you never ask people to tip in or anything. Like if people ask you if they should pay you something for the dinner, you always say no. Like you might even get a bit insulted by that, because you just want to give people, you want to pay for people's food. And so I also think that if you make dinner for people, and then like I think if you have leftovers when you make dinner for people, you always ask people if they want a Tupperware box with leftovers to take with them home. And so I also think you are generous with food, and I think people feel like you are very generous and very caring and considerate. And so yeah, I think that's what people find attractive about you. I also think you have like this motherly thing, and I think people see you as like someone who could be a very good mother to their children. Like people see you as like very fit to be a very good mother. And so that's what I see for you, group number 2. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you in my next reading. Bye. Hello, group number 3. You chose this hematite heart. And first of all, I'm going to channel some information, and then I will proceed to the cards. And the first thing I want to channel is like your physical attributes, the physical attributes that people find attractive. And so I will get to the more deep stuff later. And so I think people find you extremely attractive, actually. Like that's what I see here. Like you are very beautiful. I heard picture perfect, and so I think you are picture perfect. You are perfect. Like you are what people would consider perfect. And you might not think you are perfect, but that's how people perceive you. I also think you have people perceive you as someone who has like perfect teeth as well. Like everything about you is just perfect. Like also like maybe you have an Instagram profile where you post pictures, and maybe you've posted a picture from a beach. And I think that particular picture was very flattering. And I think I think your clothing style is very you have a romantic clothing style. I think like you might wear clothes that with flowers and embroidery. I think some of you have blonde hair, but you don't have to have blonde hair. But like, I think some of you do have blonde hair, but even if it's not blonde, I just think you have very perfect, like what people might see as like perfect hair. Like, you might also curl it with a curling iron, but you might also have like naturally wavy or curly hair. But I also think you are just good at setting your hair. Like, you might braid your hair, but I just think people are generally very attracted to you, and I think you are very conventionally beautiful, whatever that means. Like, people just like, it's, you are the type who most people find attractive because you have a look that is conventionally beautiful. I also see that you might have worn a white dress, and maybe that was on that beach photo on Instagram, that you had like a white dress that was a bit like it was a fabric that was a bit thin, like, and I really think you looked stunning in that dress. So, but let's see what the cards have to say. So, 6 of pipes, exemplar of the pipes, ace of arrows, ecstasy, and 3 of bowls. So, okay, with the 6 of pipes, I think people see you as an animal lover, someone who really likes animals, and I also think a few of you look actually look exactly like the woman on this picture. Maybe you even have the same hairstyle, but you don't have to, like, but that's something I see for a few of you. But I also think you might do something that has to do with animals. You might, maybe you ride horses, or maybe you used to ride horses when you were younger. You might also, maybe you have a pet, maybe a dog or a cat, and you might be very attached to that dog or that cat. And with the exemplar of the pipes, and like, the woman here has like an eagle on her head, and I think people see you as someone who's very proud of where you come from. Like, if you rode horses as a child, you might have grown up on a farm, and maybe you live in the city now, but you still talk about where you come from. Like, you tell people that you grew up on a farm, you tell people that you are a small town girl, that you don't care that much about big city stuff. And so I think people like that about you because, well, you are very beautiful, and I think people like that there's like another side of you, like that side of you where you grew up with dirt under your fingernails, and like where you rode horses and stuff like that. And so with the Ace of Arrows, I think you might meditate. Some of you might meditate. You might also have a spiritual connection. Some of you might get downloads, or maybe you pray to your spirit guides or ancestors. You might also do yoga. But I think people are attracted to the spiritual side of you as well. With the ecstasy card, well, this makes me think a bit of Tantra, and so maybe you are actually into Tantra, but that's only a very few of you, I think. But mostly I just think that this card is referring to the fact that people generally want to have sex with you. Like, people want to be intimate with you, like maybe even like both males and females. Like, you just have some quality that makes you very hot. People really want to have sex with you, which is a good thing, I guess. Like, And with the Three of Bows here, like, I think, again, I think there's something about your ancestors here. So you might be into some ancestor worship too. Maybe you come from a very interesting bloodline, or maybe you are just very connected to your bloodline. You might be very interested in like studying your heritage and your family tree and your ancestors and your ancestry, and you might have taken that like DNA test to see like if there's like someone you're like, if you have like some cousins you didn't know about or something like that. Maybe that's the thing. Like, maybe you grew up, maybe you don't actually know where you came from, or where you come from, sorry. But that's only a very few of you, maybe just one of you, who maybe were adopted or got into foster care very early on, and so maybe you are actually searching for your real family, like where you come from, and so maybe that's something. But I also, like, if that's not the case, I just think you are very like close to your family. You are very in touch with your roots, which is completely the opposite of what I just said. But like, I think for most of you, I think it's actually that's actually the case. I think you are very in touch with your roots. I think your family is very important to you, and so I think people are attracted to the fact that you are close to your family, that you are a family person. Also, also with like with this picture here, like there's like a headband with stars, and it's funny because in this image I had in my head before of like that Instagram photo on the beach, I felt like there was like a flower headband or a flower crown, and so I think you might have had flowers in your hair on that beach in that photo on Instagram. I know that's very specific for one of you, but like, that came through. I don't know. I think I also think that might mean like might just be a symbol for the fact that you might have green thumbs, that you are good at growing plants or growing flowers. Maybe you have a lot of plants and flowers in your apartment or your house. Maybe you really like to make plants grow, and well, that makes me think back to the farm thing. Maybe your parents were doing something that had to do with agriculture, or botanicals, and maybe like you've inherited your flair for flowers from your parents. And if that's not the case, I think you might have an ancestor, maybe a few generations back, who was a gardener or botanist. I don't know if that's what it's called, but or an agriculturist or something like that. And so, or just a farmer, really. I don't know, but I think you might have inherited your green thumbs from him or her. Of course, I don't know why I thought of a male, but I get a strong feeling that it might be a male ancestor. But what I also see with this Ace of Arrows card is like people might see two sides of you. There's like this woman here with the short hair, and then there's a woman with long hair, and the woman with short hair, she's like wearing like comfortable clothes, like it could be like sweatpants and stuff, like, but it seems a bit comfortable, and she has like short hair, which is practical, especially when you do like outdoorsy stuff. And I think that's like, I think there's those two sides of like, because like there's another side of you, and she's like, I don't know if you can see it, but like there's a side here where this woman here, like she has long hair and she has some kind of decoration with stars in her hair, and I think you have that, like you have that, those two sides, the outdoorsy side, where you are more practical, where you work in the garden or on the farm, where you ride horses and shave lambs and stuff like that. And you also have this other side of you that is more pretty and likes to wear makeup and likes to have extensions. Maybe you have extensions, like maybe you have short hair, but then like you put extensions in your hair to make it longer. But when you do outdoorsy stuff, like when you're with animals or when you work with animals or do like, then you take your extensions out. And so there's also an arrow, like she's shooting an arrow. I don't know if like you are a hunter, but I don't think you are, because I think you are too much of an animal lover to actually hunt. But you might have family members who hunt, and you might actually have been out hunting when you were a child. But I think this is more like, I think this is like the small town part of you, this farm part of you, this and then there's this city part of you that's more dolled up. There's more that has extensions, fake nails, like manicure, makeup, stuff like that, if that makes sense. And I think I feel like this is also just the natural side of you and the unnatural side of you, and I think the natural side of you is actually winning, because you can see that like she's shooting an arrow up at this unnatural side of her, and like she's trying to get that side of her away. And I think people are really attracted to the fact that you are becoming more and more natural. You are becoming your natural self, your true self. Like you don't pretend to be something you're not anymore. And I think so. Like I think people are attracted to also the fact that you are maybe not wearing as much makeup as you used to do, and also that you actually take out your extensions more and stuff like that. And I think you are becoming more in alignment with your true self, and like, and I think you're just owning the fact that you are in love with nature, I think, and in love with like help caring for animals and like being outdoors and getting dirt under your fingernails and getting mud on your shoes, and well, this version of yourself that isn't completely picture perfect, isn't like Instagram proved, like even though approved, I'm sorry, but even though in a way well, actually it is picture perfect, like, because people are more attracted to that side, so that side should actually be the perfect one, because that's the most attractive one. Like I think people like that more natural side of you, and well, the fact that you aren't afraid of getting dirty or dirt under your fingernails is just the icing on the cake, really, like for like men especially. Like it's what everyone's attracted to, really. Like so I feel like that's actually a good thing, and it actually makes you more perfect that you also have that, like, that side, that you have those two sides. Also, just it's like if you ride horses, I don't know why that comes in so strong. Like it might not be right, but I feel like most of you ride horses, or some of you do, and like that's so cool that you are able to do that. Like that needs a lot of skill, and so I also think like people admire that you actually do something that's actually quite difficult and needs a lot of strength, and you do it like gracefully. You can make it look easy to ride horses, for example. But also, like, if you might be good at like shooting arrows too, if maybe like. But also, like, just the thing about you having green thumbs, that's also very admirable. Like, not many people can make plants grow. And so I also think, like, with the three of bowls here, you can see that there's food. So, like, this person is offering food to this ancestor, and I don't think that's really the case with you. I don't think you offer food to your ancestors, but I think you offer food to people, and I think you are very good at making food. I think you are a good cook as well. You might be vegan, but I think you are good at making vegan food that tastes really good. And I also think you might have some family recipes that you use, or you might be good at making dishes from your home country or from the state or the county that you grew up in. But yeah, I think people are just overall really attracted to you. Like, really, like, even if you were covered in horse shit from top to bottom, like, people would still want to have sex with you. And so I think you're just really hot. Like, I don't even know why you need me to tell you that, because like, why you're curious about what makes you attractive, but because like it should be quite obvious to you, really. Like, you're really attractive. And so like, that's what I see for you, group number 3. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you in my next reading. Bye. Hello, group number 4. You chose this kyanite or cyanide. I never know if it's kyanite or cyanide. I've used this stone so many times, but I never actually look it up. I might look it up afterwards, but so I don't make that mistake again. But let's move on to the reading. So you chose the cyanide or kyanite and the Alice or the Wonderland Tarot deck. I'm sorry that I'm like a bit nervous right now. I don't know what that is. That's a strange energy. It might be your energy that I'm picking up on. You might be like this type who talks about something like, maybe you talk when you get nervous, and I don't know, like, but okay, so I'll start with a channeled message for you, and then I will proceed to the cards, and I'll start with the physical attributes that people find attractive about you, and so and after that I will get to the deeper stuff. So I think people are very drawn to your boobs. I think people really like your boobs. And if you are a male, I still think people like your boobs, like or your chest area. I think, or not chest area. What's that called? I don't know. But I think many of you wear very tight-fitting clothes. Like, not all of you. Some of you might just have clothes that is tight-fitting around your breasts. So you might like wear those dresses where they are tight on the breasts and then they go out underneath the breasts. I don't know. But you could also just wear tank tops. And I think many of you wear like, many of you have like a very simplistic style, like, and also like colors. You might wear colors like gray or black or white, and so I think you keep it very stylish and very simplistic. But I think it's a bit revealing. Maybe you show some cleavage, and I think you have a really nice body, and so I think people like the way you dress because it shows off your body, or your chest area. I also think people are very attracted to your belly as well. But let's draw some cards here. So 3 of peppermills, the Hanged Man, Page of peppermills, 7 of oysters, 7 of hats. So with the 3 of peppermills, well, that's talking about the revealing stuff. Like, she's revealing like something behind the curtain. So I think people are attracted to the fact that you sometimes wear revealing clothes. You might not wear revealing clothes all the time. Like, the curtains might be closed most of the time, actually, but I think you do wear revealing clothes sometimes, like when you go to a party or stuff like that. I also think this could be like referring to the fact that you reveal stuff about yourself, maybe stuff that others would keep for themselves. Like, maybe you are a bit of an oversharer, but I think people actually love that about you, that you are not afraid of telling embarrassing stories about yourself. Like, if you went to the bathroom and the toilet wouldn't flush, you would share that story and laugh about it. Like, you don't take yourself so seriously. Like, you might have died of embarrassment in the moment, but you also know that if you share the story, like especially with your best friend, for example, then some of the embarrassment will go away and it won't seem so horrible. Like, sometimes the best way to cope with embarrassment is just to laugh it off. And I think you are really good at just laughing about it. And I also think you are the type who knows that your embarrassing moments will turn into a very funny story, like, later on. And I think people really find that attractive, that you can laugh at yourself, that you can tell funny stories about yourself, that you can joke about yourself. And I also think people really like that you don't pretend to be someone you're not. Like, if people are talking about a book they've read, you don't pretend that you've read the book as well. Like you tell them right away that you've never read that book, and you just tell it like it is, and tell them that. And maybe you even go further and tell them that you actually don't like to read at all, that you haven't read many books in your lifetime, that maybe you've only read like 5 books in your lifetime, and you maybe you didn't particularly like any of those books, those 5 books. Like, and maybe you go a bit overboard and end up downplaying yourself a bit. Like, maybe maybe that was a bit of an understatement. Like, you probably read a lot more books in your life, but I think you have a tendency to like downplay yourself, and like you would rather say that you are like a horrible cook, for example, than say that you are a really good cook. And maybe you are somewhere in the middle. Like, maybe you are not at all a horrible cook, but maybe maybe you actually are really good at cooking, but you say that you're bad at cooking to like lower people's expectations so that they won't get disappointed. I don't think you like to disappoint people, and so with the hanged man here, it has a picture of a lobster, and so I think you are actually quite good at cooking. I think people are attracted to your cooking skills, but you might also be a foodie. Like, you might really love to eat, and maybe you love to eat at like restaurants, and you might be the type who knows all the good restaurants. I think you also like to eat different foods. I think you are very curious when it comes to food, like tasting different kinds of food. And I also think like with a lobster, like the lobster becomes red when it goes into the boiling water, and well, so there's something about turning red that I think people find attractive. So I think you might blush easily, you might turn red easily in the face. Maybe it's when you are boiling, and like not literally but like figuratively, when you are in a very uncomfortable situation, you might you might turn red. And so it can be when maybe you have a bit of like stage fright, or something like that. Maybe you don't like to talk in front of a lot of people, but it could also be it could have something to do with sunburn, even though that would be kind of fucked up. Like, I would think that would be kind of fucked up if someone actually was attracted to sunburn, because like that's kind of weird. But like, maybe you have fair skin, and maybe that's what they're like attracted to, and I don't know. But I think it's the blushing, like, and I think that's it, like that you turn red. Like, you might also be the type who blushes when it's hot. Like, I you could also be one of those who turn red when you drink alcohol, maybe. I don't know. With a page of peppermills here, I think people like that you are fair too. And this frog here is dressed as a judge, and so I think you fight for justice. You might be in law school, but you don't have to be. But some of you are. A few of you are. But I also just think you are the type who intervenes if you see injustice. Like, if someone is excluding one person from a friend group, you side with that person. If you witness someone getting bullied or discriminated, you speak up on their behalf. You defend that person. I think you have a really good moral compass. You fight for what's right. You speak your mind. If you think something shady is going on, you do something about it. You don't care if that might make you unpopular, because justice is more important than popularity to you. And so you might be Libras. Also, when I look at this card, like, I think of like the frog that turned into a prince. And well, first of all, that Disney movie that was made about that was, if I remember correctly, was the first Disney movie with a black princess. I think that's, but like, and so I feel like the social justice that you fight for might have to do with racism. So you might be like in the Black Lives Matter movement, and you might be passionate about that, but also like when I think of the frog that turned into a prince, like this frog here hasn't turned into a prince or a human being in like at all. It's kind of like this frog has just owned the fact that it's a frog, and it doesn't need a kiss from a princess to become a prince, because it can just dress up in fancy clothes and then it's a prince or a judge or like a human being. Like, it doesn't have to like be turned into a human being because it feels like a human being, and it doesn't matter if it's in a frog body or not, if that makes sense. And so I think what that means in this context is that you are very independent. You don't need someone to kiss you to make your dreams come true. You can do that perfectly fine on your own. And so I think people see you as someone who doesn't need a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And well, I also think you might be a feminist, or you might fight for people to have the right to decide over their own body. And so it can be about like sexual harassment, that people shouldn't be allowed to kiss on frogs, even if they promise to turn them into a prince or a princess. And that's like an analogy to bosses promising their employees a promotion if they have sex with them and stuff like that. And well, I just feel like you might have a lot of causes, really. You have a lot of causes that you fight for. You have a lot of opinions when it comes to social justice and ethics. And I think people are attracted to that because you always have I also think like your opinions are well thought of. You have done your research about these things that you talk about. You don't talk about things that you don't know anything about. You have actually done your research, and I think you are very good at finding arguments for your case. I think you are a good debater. But one other thing, like I see with the frog here, in that fairy tale, the frog turns into a human being, and in a way the frog changed into whatever the princess dreamed of. So in a way, it changed to become more compatible with a princess. And so in this context, I think what people find attractive about you is that you don't change who you are for other people. You stay true to yourself. You have a lot of self-worth, and I think people find that extremely attractive. I also think you might be a bit stubborn. It might be hard for people to change your mind when you've made up your mind about something, and I think people admire that about you. You are not a pushover. You have your own opinions, and I also see that like you don't give up easily either. And so with the seven of oysters here in this context, I see this person looking at like this pile of leaves here, and it looks a bit like a salad. I don't know if you agree, but like I think of a salad when I see this. And this person here is looking at the salad with a very displeased look, and this person even looks like they are looking away from the salad, like purposely ignoring the salad. And well, that was actually something I was thinking about before. I think people really are attracted to the fact that you are not the type who only eats salad. You eat the food you like you're not focused on eating healthy. Like I think you eat healthy though, but I think sometimes you live a little like you don't want to eat salad all the time, like. So that could be a thing, but also with the 7 of hearts here, or the 7 of hats here, which is 7 of cups, I think people like that you are a dreamer too, and like that you are an idealist. You dream of a better world. You dream of changing the world for the better. You fantasize about a world world where there's no racism, no sexism, no sexual harassment, no victim blaming, and stuff like that. And some people might see you as like a bit unrealistic, because you have these dreams, like, but it could also be other dreams, like, or that people might just feel like some of your ideas are a bit unrealistic. But I think people are attracted to the fact that you are an idealist, even though your ideals might be unrealistic. But of course they are unrealistic. Like if they weren't unrealistic, they wouldn't be ideals. So if we want to change the world, we have to be unrealistic. Like we have to have unrealistic ideas and force them into reality. Like if you don't, nothing will ever change. And so I think people know that too. Like I think people see that you are like going places, that you can actually change the world for the better, that you have a voice. And so I also think of like a dinner party when I see this card. And so maybe this is also referring to your cooking. Maybe you are a really good cook and good at throwing dinner parties or parties in general. Maybe you are good at planning, planning get-togethers, and stuff like that. And I also think of like, well, there's a hair here, so and hares have long legs, so maybe there's also something about your legs being very long, and I think people are attracted to that. I also think of Easter for some reason, so maybe you are like throwing a party for Easter, or maybe you just like to do something special for the holidays, and people like that about you. I don't know, but like that's I think people see you as attractive, and so that's what I see for your group number 4. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you in my next reading. Bye. Hello, group number 5. You chose this Moki marble, and so I will start with a channeled message, and then I will proceed to the cards, and I will start with the physical attributes, and then I will move on to the deeper stuff. And so the message is kind of clear here. I heard sporty spice, and so and I heard that loud and clear, and so I will go with that. And so I think many of you are rather sporty. I think you work out, or maybe you play soccer or another sport, or maybe you like go to the gym a lot. But I think you might be quite toned. But if that's not the case, I think many of you wear sportswear. You might wear like sweatpants and maybe crop tops, or just sports bras alone, like a pair of sweatpants and a sports bra, or leggings and a sports bra. And I think people are really attracted to your clothing style because it complements your body. You might also spend a lot of time in the gym, as I said before, and so maybe you don't actually wear sportswear outside the gym, but that's what the people in the gym sees, and so that's what they find attractive about you, and so maybe that's something. I also think some of you might be sports fans, like you might have a favorite soccer team, or like you might have like Liverpool as your favorite soccer team or something like that, and maybe you meet up with some friends regularly to watch games, and I think people find that really attractive. Like, or maybe you have a boyfriend or had a boyfriend who was very much into sports, and maybe he had friends over often to watch games on TV, and so maybe you always saw the games with them, and I think the friends found it really attractive that you were included in that. So that might resonate with like a few of you, but that came through. And so I also think guys just relate to you because you can talk about, like, you can talk about the things that they are interested in. Like, if it's not sports, it could be something else. But I think you have some interests that are maybe considered more masculine, like working out or sports and stuff like that. I think people see you as a bit of like one of the guys, but I also think you have a feminine side too, and I think people are attracted to the fact that you can be feminine but also masculine. You're the best of both worlds in a way. I also think some of you. Okay, so some of you have a darker skin tone, and I think people are really attracted to that. Um, I'm also hearing that that you are fun at parties. Like I think you are the type who can drink quite a lot. You might not drink very often, but when you do, you want to do it right, and so you don't hold yourself back. And I think people are attracted to that. And I also think people really like your voice. You might have a really nice singing voice. You might have sung in a church choir growing up. And even if you didn't, I just think you are a really good singer. And maybe you sing when you're drunk. Like maybe you don't like to sing in front of people when you're not drunk, and so when you are drunk, you like to sing, and so that could be a thing. I don't know, but I feel like you might be the type who is a bit controlled in your everyday life. You have everything under control. You follow a schedule. You work out regularly, you probably prepare your meals as well, and everything is very scheduled, and you follow a plan, like a tight plan, and everything is in your control. And so I think people perceive you as someone who's a bit serious and a bit practical, and so I think people really like that you let loose when you party, and you get a bit out of control when you party because you're not usually out of control. And so I think people like that you have those two sides, that you become a completely different person when you drink than you are when you are sober. And so I think people are intrigued by the contrast. So, but let's draw some cards here to get more information on what people find attractive about you. And so, the universe, adjustment, Four of Swords, Three of Discs, and the Devil. Okay, so with the universe here, I think that makes sense. I think what people find attractive is that you have a higher perspective. I think that makes sense because, like, I think some of you are athletes. Not all of you, but some of you are, and you need to operate with a higher perspective when you are an athlete. You need to always see things from the perspective of your highest goal, if that makes sense. Like, because you wouldn't be able to work out for 3 hours unless you think of the goal you've set for yourself. And the universe is also the last card in the deck, and so, or not in the deck, but in the major arcana, but it's often about endings, but it's also about having the end goal in mind, not losing sight of the end goal, and then when that goal has been reached, the cycle starts over, but with a new goal in mind. Like the universe usually has like a picture of Ouroboros, the snake biting its own tail, and it's a symbol of life, that when life ends, new life begins. It's about reincarnation, but reincarnation also happens throughout our life, as our life is filled with cycles that end so that new cycles can begin. And it's a way we transform ourselves, and that's also what I see with the death card here. Like it talks about the same. And so I think people are attracted to the fact that you are always transforming yourself. You are always working to become a better version of yourself. You are always starting new cycles. As soon as the last cycle ends, you are like every time you reach your goal, you set a new one. And I think you always try to become better. You always try to become more, like become stronger, maybe physically, maybe mentally, but also physically, like and maybe also more enlightened. Like maybe you always feel like you can do better, like you can, and maybe you are on a journey to self-discovery where like you are constantly figuring new stuff out about yourself. And I think you are in like the process of like making yourself better, like and becoming more in alignment with your true self. And I think you always try to make changes, and I think people are attracted to the fact that you are always changing. Like you don't, like you're always developing yourself. You're always evolving. And so I think you do extensive work when it comes to like self-discovery and finding yourself and bettering yourself and understanding yourself and also understanding others. I think you make an effort trying to understand other people. I think the psyche interest has your interest. Like I think you are interested in what happens in the human psyche. Yeah, I think you are the type who also just wants to understand people, wants to see where people are coming from. Like I think you are the type who wants to hear both sides of an argument before you choose sides. Like you don't want to judge people unfairly, and you don't want to judge people for something they say unless you understand why they said what they said, if that makes sense. And so I think and so that's also like, I think you have an interest in combining the body and the mind, like controlling your mind to like to be able to work out for the 3 hours, we have to be able to control our mind and our mindset and stuff like that. And so the mind is a very important thing when it comes to working out too. Like, and so I also think with the Four of Swords here, like, I think you are very calm. You're good at staying calm in tough situations. You're good at finding your inner calmness. Like, in one of my decks, there's a picture on this card of someone meditating in like the lotus position and using his mind to lift himself up from the ground. And like, I'm not saying you can do that, but I think you are the type who likes to experiment with how much you can actually do physically if you just control your mind. Like, and so I think people see that as very interesting and attractive, that you keep pushing yourself, that you have a bit of a different view on the body and the mind in general. Like, and with the Three of Discs here, I think people also like that you are a team player. And I also think people look up to you. I think people admire you, like, people admire your work and admire your skills. I also think people admire you for your thoughts and ideas too. Maybe if you are in school, I think your classmates really admire your efforts when it comes to schoolwork. Like, and you might also be the type who people want to be in a team with, like, because you are a hard worker. And I also think, like, people admire the fact that you are so good at planning and making a schedule. And I think that's really important now when we are studying from home. So many people can't really make schedules for themselves for their homework, and so they struggle with studying from home. But I think you are the type who would actually excel at working or studying from home because you are good at making a schedule and following it. And so I think people really find it attractive that you are excelling at studies or at your work right now. And so, yeah, I think you might also be the type who, like, if you have a, like, if you have like a test coming up, you study a long time before the test. Like, you don't study like the last night before the test. And so I think people also really admire that about you, that you are able to actually start studying a long time before the test. So I think so yeah, like I think people have a lot of respect for you. They look up to you. I think people want to be you as well. Like, I think they see you as this really dedicated person, and they see you as someone who has their shit together. And I also think people just see you as someone who keeps calm in the most trying situations. You keep your cool. If something doesn't work out, you don't give up. You keep working until until you succeed. Like, if something fails, you start over. And I also think people see you as someone like if someone is like interested in you, like when people have a crush on you. I think the thing that they have a crush on is also the fact that you are a hard worker, because I think people see you as like this hard worker, and they see it as a really good quality, because people want to be in a relationship with someone like you, because people know that you are not the type who gives up easily, and so you wouldn't give up on a relationship that easily either. And so I think many people actually see that as very sexy, and so that's what I see here for you, group number 5. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you in my next reading. Bye. Hello, group number 6. Sorry. This is the 3rd time that the stone has like slipped, like not from my hands, but like I've had it like fall down a lot of times. So like I don't know if there's something about you that's a bit slippery, like, or like that. Like it's like you get away very easily. I don't know what it is. Maybe you fall down easily. Maybe you trip easily. I don't know what. But so you chose the tanzanite. This tanzanite that has a life of its own, and so maybe you have a life of your own. You go you do your thing. You don't follow this like the mainstream. Maybe that's the thing. But I'll start with some physical attributes, and then I'll channel some physical attributes, and then I will proceed to the cards. And so I think you have I think people really like your nose. You might have like a small nose, or maybe you have like a characteristic nose. You might have like a nose that has a flattering shape. Maybe some of you have like an upturned nose, and I think people might think that's very cute. And I also think your eyes, there's something about your eyes. I think your eyes are very beautiful. Your eyes might have a very beautiful color. Your eyes could be different colors. Like the one eye could be one color, the other eye could be another color, or maybe you have just 2 colors in each eye, like, or maybe more colors. Like, I don't know, but I think there's something very unique about your eyes. You might also have like a very thick circle around your eyeballs. Not your eyeballs, but your pupils. Not pupils. Is it pupils? Maybe. But you might have a thick ring around that, like around your pupils. So I think there's something very unique about you. Like you have some unique characteristic. You might also have like very defined cheekbones, and you might have nice teeth, but you might also have like a gap between your front teeth, or something that makes you a bit different. Like, and I think people are very attracted to that. For some reason, I heard UNESCO, UNESCO, which stands for United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, I think. And so the first thing I thought of was the wonders of the World Heritage List, because UNESCO is in charge of that list and in charge of protecting the wonders or the heritage of the world. And so I think people might actually see you as a bit of a wonder. Actually, I think you are very beautiful, and you might have a bit of a characteristic, one of a kind of beauty. Like, there's no one in the world that looks exactly like you, because you have a very unique look. But that's what makes you so beautiful to people, like so attractive to people. Like, you might have a characteristic nose or a gap between your teeth and or eyes in different colors, but it like and that all that makes you very special. And if you don't have any of those things, you might have something else that's one of a kind in a way, like that's very rare. You might have something about you that's very rare and precious, because not many people have that. And so I also think like there's something about you that makes people want to protect you, that you are precious. And so maybe there's also something about your personality. Maybe you are really pure, like maybe you are the type who sees the good in all the people you meet. Maybe you have a really positive outlook, and maybe you have like something about you that seems maybe like virgin like you seem to have a very pure heart, and that's very rare. And I think people want to protect you from the world. They want you to keep that purity. They want to protect that purity so that it never gets corrupted, if that makes sense. And I also think with the UNESCO that maybe you also do something that has to do with education or science or culture. And so maybe people are attracted to that. Maybe you also come from a country that has a world wonder or is on the World Heritage List. So you might you might have your heritage in a foreign country, and I think people might be very fascinated by your heritage and your story. But mostly I just think people see you as very precious and rare and one of a kind. Like you're a diamond amongst rocks, if that makes sense. But let's draw some cards here. The World reversed. Judgment. The Hanged Man reversed. The Significator reversed. And Five of Swords reversed. Okay, this is actually quite good. Actually, I get a good vibe here. Like with the Significator here being reversed, I think like the Significator represents you, or how other people see you, and what it means when it's reversed is that I think what people think is extremely attractive about you is the fact that you don't remind people of themselves in any way. They can't mirror themselves in you. You are so unique. And people like that. I know it might seem weird because, of course, we like to meet people who resemble ourselves, but sometimes that can be a bit too much. Sometimes we meet people who resemble ourselves a bit too much, and we start hating things about people that we deep down hate about ourselves. But that doesn't happen with you because you are completely different. And well, in a way, you don't have all those annoying characteristics that other people hate about themselves, and which is amazing that you don't have those. Like, you are the opposite of annoying, so that's pretty cool. And so with the world card here reversed, that's kind of interesting too. The world is about endings, and so when it's reversed, I think it's referring to beginnings. And so I think you are the type who begins a lot of projects, but I'm not sure if you are that good at ending them. But I still think people find it really attractive that you dare to begin all these new projects. I think you are in many ways a first mover. You dare to get an idea and then bring that idea to life. But you might not follow up on those ideas later on. But that's maybe not that important, really. Like, I think the world needs more first movers who can start projects and then leave them to the projects to other people so that other people can keep them alive. And like, it's about like giving birth to a child and like allowing the child to grow up and on its own. Like, sometimes, like, well, not but that's how the animal world works, at least. But I also think like of an author, because an author writes a book, but when like when an author makes when the author publishes a book, the author withdraws and lets the book have a life on its own. Like, the author can't control how the book will be read or how people will interpret the book. And that's not the author's place either. The author has to silence themselves, even though they really want to correct people and tell people what they really meant when they said those, when they wrote those things, and what those analogies meant, and what everything meant, and what those symbols meant. And like, they want to like explain, but they can't. That's like, they have to be silent about it, and they need to just give birth to a book and just let that book live a life on its own, grow up and become something completely different than the author intended it to become. And so I think people see you as an author, and I think they see you as very attractive because you like, they see that you have a bright future in front of you as like an author or an artist. And like, I think people admire your talent and your work. Like, I think people see you as someone who will make, like, maybe a world wonder, as I said before, like, maybe that you will make a masterpiece that will actually end up in the history books, that will be remembered in the future. And so I think people also, like, people see you as unique, and so they see you as someone who will make something unique one day. But also with the judgment here, I think this is referring to you just being very pure, as I said before, like someone who will be chosen on Judgment Day to rise up from the grave. Like, you are pure at heart. You seem like the type who is just good. You have a good moral compass. You are nice to everyone. You forgive everyone. You're just like good-hearted, and with the Hanged Man reversed, I think you are the type who don't procrastinate, or well, you might procrastinate with your work, but I think you are the type who always texts back right away if people text you. You don't leave people hanging for long, and with the Five of Swords here also reversed, I just think people see you as someone who never would exploit a situation, who would never lie, who would never cheat, who would never undermine someone to make yourself look good. Like, you have that moral compass that tells you that you shouldn't flirt with someone else's boyfriend or girlfriend. You shouldn't steal from others. And by stealing, I don't mean actual stealing, even though, of course, like, if like, you're not the type who would steal something anyway. So, but like, this also refers to like stealing another person's husband or wife, or stealing the success from someone else. Like, if someone wrote something, you wouldn't steal it and take credit for it. Like, you are very honest and very pure and good-hearted, and you like justice. And I also think you, like, with a picture here, like, there's when it's upright, there's an old person in the picture, and it's also a crippled person. And so when it's reversed, I think of someone very young and healthy. And so I think people see you as young and healthy too. And so I also think there's something about you that may make some people feel a bit old when they are around you, because you might be a bit energetic also. Like, maybe that's why this stone was like all over the place. Like, maybe you are a bit all over the place. Maybe you have like a bit of ADD or something like that, where you might be a bit like busy. Like, not in your mind. Like, your mind might be a bit. You might think of like a million things at once, but I think people are attracted to that side of you too. Like, and I think people are just attracted to you in general. I think people see you as very precious, and so this was a very, very good reading. I think, yeah, this is what I have for you, group number 6. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you in my next reading. Bye.